You've probably heard that rainforests are the lungs of our planet, right? Well, those lungs are in trouble. But here's the thing, it's not all doom and gloom. There are some really smart, totally doable strategies to protect them. So today, we're going to dive into 9 of these powerful ideas for managing these incredible ecosystems. Ready? Let's jump in.
Okay, so here's our plan. First, we'll get a handle on the challenge itself. Then, we'll look at some big-picture global and economic solutions. After that, we'll dive into the rules for protection and then get our hands dirty with practices in the forest. And finally, we'll tie it all together to see how it all connects.
All right, first up, saving our rainforests. It's about understanding the challenge, but also seeing the hope. What is really at stake here? These places are just bursting with life, and they're absolutely crucial for our climate. But yeah, they're under some serious pressure. Think farming, illegal logging, the whole shebang. The challenge is massive for sure, but the solutions? They're actually pretty powerful and totally within our grasp.
So this leads us to the big question, the real heart of the matter. How can we protect these vital ecosystems and support the people who actually depend on them? See, it's not just about saving trees. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance where both people and nature can win. Keep this question in the back of your mind as we go, because everything we're about to talk about tries to answer it.
Okay, let's start with the big picture stuff. We're talking about global and economic solutions, using money and policy to make a real impact.
So, to get why some of these solutions work, you got to understand the pressure these countries are under. Imagine this. Your country is in a lot of debt. You have to pay back these huge loans. And right there, you have this incredible rainforest, full of resources. It becomes a really tempting, almost necessary source of quick cash. And that, right there, is a huge driver of deforestation.
So how do you fix a problem like that? Well, there's this really clever financial move called a debt for nature swap. It is a total win-win. It breaks down like this. A country with a rainforest owes money, right? A richer country then steps in and says, hey, we'll wipe that debt clean. And in exchange, the rainforest country promises to use that money to protect its forests. It's brilliant. It literally turns debt into a conservation fund.
Another big lever we can pull is on the economic side, thanks supply and demand. Through international agreements, countries can basically agree to stop buying wood that isn't from a sustainable source. And if nobody's buying the bad stuff, what happens? The incentive to chop it down in the first place just evaporates. It's a simple idea, but really effective.
All right, so global economics. That's one piece of the puzzle, but it's not the only one. For this to really work, you also need clear rules, and, just as important, for people on the ground to be on board.
Sometimes the most direct approach is the best one. And that's exactly what a forest reserve is. It's basically drawing a line on a map and saying, this area is protected by law. It creates a sanctuary where things like logging or mining are just not allowed. It's a clear, powerful statement. But here's the thing. You can have all the laws in the world, but if people don't get it, it won't work. True protection comes from changing how people think. It's about making sure everyone involved understands the consequences. When local communities really grasp the long-term value of the forest, they stop being just users of the forest and they become its best and most powerful protectors. That's the real game changer.
Okay, so we've looked at the view from 30,000 feet, the global and national stuff. Now, let's zoom all the way in. Let's talk about what happens on the ground, inside the forest itself. The big question here is, how do we work with the forest, not against it?
So, check this out. This is a perfect example of working smart. On one side, you've got clear cutting. And yeah, it's as brutal as it sounds. Just wipe everything out. Total destruction of the ecosystem. But then, look at the other option, selective logging. This is like using a scalpel instead of a bulldozer. You only take out certain trees, maybe older ones, and leave the rest of the forest standing. The whole structure is still there, the ecosystem keeps ticking along. It's just a much, much smarter way to do things. And hey, even when trees do get cut down, it's not the end of the story. We can actively give nature a helping hand. It's a simple but powerful idea called afforestation. Basically, planting new trees to replace what was lost. And we're not just talking about planting one sapling. It's about a real commitment to helping the whole ecosystem bounce back. Not all the best ideas are new. Some are ancient. Take shifting cultivation. This is a traditional way of farming that's totally in sync with the forest's own rhythm. Farmers work a small plot of land for a couple of years and then, this is the key part, they move to a new spot. They leave the old plot alone, giving it time to rest, recover, and let the forest grow back. It's genius, really.
And here's another super smart technique. It basically asks the question, why does it have to be farm or forest? Why can't it be both? That's the idea behind agroforestry. You're literally growing crops and trees together on the very same piece of land.
And the benefits are just awesome. You keep biodiversity buzzing, the soil gets super rich and healthy from all the natural leaf litter, which is great for growing food, and people can make a living from the land while keeping the forest ecosystem intact. It's one of those amazing solutions where everyone wins.
Okay, this next one is all about a simple mental switch. Ask yourself, what if a tree is worth more alive than it is chopped down? Think about it. Instead of cutting trees for timber, a one-time payout, you can tap them for things like rubber. This creates a steady, reliable income year after year. It gives people a direct financial reason to protect the forest.
So we've gone through a whole bunch of strategies, right? From big international finance down to local farming techniques. But here's the secret sauce. None of them work in a vacuum. The real magic happens when you weave them all together.
And if there's one thing to remember from all this, it's this. There is no single magic bullet. There's no one-size-fits-all fix. The most effective conservation is like a tapestry, weaving all these different threads together. You need the international deals and the local education. You need the big protected areas and the smart farming right beside them. So let's do a super quick visual recap of this amazing toolkit. We've got the big money moves like debt for nature swaps and global handshakes with international agreements. We've got setting boundaries with forest reserves and changing minds with education. And then we have the hands-on stuff, the surgical precision of selective logging, bringing forests back with afforestation, combining farms and forests with agroforestry, working in cycles with shifting cultivation, and making trees valuable while they're alive. Each one is a crucial piece of the puzzle.
So that brings us to our final thought, a question for you. We've seen this whole web of strategies, from the super high level to the really grassroots. So, which one of these do you think holds the most promise? If you had to bet on one or a combination, what do you think is the real key to protecting our planet's lungs for the future?